Welcome to episode 229.
You're listening to Escaping the REI Newbie Zone podcast, where you'll learn the underground, closely guarded secrets that will revolutionize your real estate business. This podcast is all about helping you exit the real estate newbie zone and enter financial freedom, building up your real estate throne. This is Escaping the REI Newbie Zone podcast. And now your host, real estate investor, entrepreneur, world traveler, and nationwide mentor, Chris Bruce.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Escaping the REI Newbie Zone. I am your host, Chris Bruce. I want to say thank you for tuning in to this week's show. We have a very special guest that's going to be coming on in just a minute. But before I go ahead and introduce him, what I want to do is I want to say thank you for everybody I really do appreciate from the bottom of my heart of you guys posting on Twitter, posting on Instagram, tagging me in the post of you listening, tuning into this episodes. And it really just, it humbles me to really, and it makes me feel good, that you guys are loving these episodes. You're loving the content. I want to make sure that I keep providing you with excellent, great content, that guys that you can use to expand your mind, to implement in your business, and really take off. At the end of the day, I could keep all this information to myself, but I'm not that type of person. All right, I like to share my success and more so my mistakes, more the things that I've went through to help you, if you're going through those things, get through them, right? To help you with tips and strategies for your real estate investing business, especially if you're new starting off. All right, and I also love to get other people that are even doing way more business than me, right, that are killing it in their own realm of whatever niche they're in or whatever business, whatever market they're in, and bring them onto the show to show you to expand. Hey, listen, it's not just me having success. There's people having way more success than me, but I love bringing them on, hearing things that, they're doing, hearing their mindset. And that's what this episode is going to be about, okay? About, 2-3 weeks ago, I had actually ran into a guy that we follow each other on Instagram. I saw him doing great things, and he was in Tampa for an event, and I ran into him there. We connected, and then I saw that he was in Miami through the 10X conference. I was there in Miami at the same time, so I reached out to him. We connected. We got went out, chopped it up with him and his girl, and good solid dude. He's doing crazy numbers, guys. I mean, just his mindset of how he thinks business, and more importantly, how he is very proficient in leadership. You got to understand the one thing about, if you want to have $1 million business, if you want to have a multi-million-dollar business, heck, if you want to have a 6-figure business, okay, you have to have a team around you. And the business will only be as good as its leader. And this guy that I'm actually about to bring up, he is very good at leadership. He's actually and he's been in sales since he was 14, all right? And he actually finally got serious when he turned 18. He got into sales, doing all type of different sales things from sales companies and selling different products and items. And he then moved into having his own sales company with his partner, and they scaled that to $1 million business. But what he wanted to do, really, when he started seeing the success of other people and things like that, is bring that into another niche, which is real estate investing. And so that's when he got into real estate investing. He was doing rehabbing, he did some wholesaling, of course, and it wasn't until really like last year that he really took the business off, focused solely on his real estate investing business. Because, a lot of us, we have different hustles, right? We hear all the time that, millionaires have 7 sources of income. And so we're, focused on this and this and that. But sometimes you got to just lock in and focus, right? To really scale, to bring your business to a whole nother level, okay? And so he's going to be talking about that, all right? He's going to be talking specifically how he's been able to scale his business to a multi-million-dollar investing business with over 30, 40 employees, all right? You have to have great leadership if you have that many employees, period. All right. Some of you might only have 1 to 2 VAs. So you're going to be able to learn from this guy of how he's been able to scale his business, how he's been able to really find good talent, what things he's using, the mindset, more importantly, that he has in growing. Okay. So let me go ahead and wait no further and introduce my friend Donovan Ruffin. All right, guys. Like I said on the intro, we have our very special guest for this week's episode. My man Donovan Ruffin. How you doing, Donovan?
Hey, what's up, my man?
Doing all right, man. Glad to have you on here.
For the week, I feel special.
Yeah, for the week, man. I got you on here, man.
Most people got a podcast every day.
Yeah, man. So it's good, man. It was good to get you on here. I was glad to be able to connect with you out there in Miami. So I'm glad you take time out your busy day.
Yeah, it was good.
Definitely. So
Yeah,
for those people that may not be connected with you yet, tell me a little bit about what you were doing before real estate and how you got into the business.
Yeah, so let's see. I moved to Dallas, Texas, like my junior year in high school. I was kind of not a good kid, so my mom shipped me to live with my dad, and I just kind of liked it here, so I decided to stay out here. And then after high school, just found my way into the working world just to pay some bills. Then I found myself making a all commission at a sales job when I was 18, and I got essentially really good at it really fast. So I kind of found essentially like my niche.
Okay.
And I just kind of stuck to it. And then by the time I was 20, I was running my own company essentially. Me and my business partner actually pitched a couple of Fortune 500 companies to essentially sell their products for them. And we were running that for about 4 years, and all around the country, just starting sales teams in different markets, and essentially growing that business. So I've been in the sales world ever since I was like 14, but I guess when I was 18, I just took it more seriously and essentially turned it into a business. And then through that time, I was just obviously intrigued like anybody else in real estate, and obviously had some cash sitting around, and got into wholesaling initially, and then I just didn't understand the grind essentially, just like anybody else starting off. So I was just looking for alternatives on how to streamline it pretty quick without having to shut down my company, or kind of what I was doing. So it's kind of like a side hustle for me. When I first started, for a lot of years, let's say for about 4 years, it was essentially like a side hustle. And then I started doing rehabs. I started raising private money, and kind of how my business model was, I was just buying wholesale deals from wholesalers, and just raising money and buying money buying properties from wholesalers. So up until about July of 2018, just this past year, I was doing about 10 rehabs a month. And anybody out there that's doing rehabs, it's not sexy.
Right.
Once you're in it, it's not like what you see on TV. But understanding the business and understanding certain products and stuff like that, I streamlined that as well. Had a pretty solid team. I wasn't really GCing anymore. I was just essentially running a whole bunch of subs in and out of properties. And out here in Texas, everything's pretty much cookie cutter the same. So we had our little calculators, and if the deal made sense, we bought it. We didn't really care how much we were paying wholesalers or anything like that. We just had our formula, stuck to it, and we grew it. So and then this past year, I was just kind of realizing I was like spending a lot of money on assignments. I was probably spending a little over $100,000 a month just paying wholesalers to find me deals.
Damn.
I had no problem with paying that. But I just kind of realized, I was like, man, what if I actually spent like $100,000 into my own marketing? What would happen? And that's essentially what I did. I just never was cheap with marketing when I started essentially really wholesaling. And then just kind of streamline that business, and it kind of took off to a point where I was just hiring acquisitions, essentially like sales reps, and I kind of found myself in a situation where it was like conflict of interest from my company, for my sales company, because in my sales company, retention is pretty high in most cases, depending on the product. And I was just focused on recruiting, hiring sales reps, and retaining them, making them feel special and stuff like that. But I found it a lot easier to recruit, train, and motivate people in real estate on acquisitions. And I haven't had an issue with retention since I started. So I just kind of made a decision, instead of just playing 50-50 and recruiting people for two companies, I just decided to go all real estate. And I built out essentially like a wholesaling corporate structure type company here in Dallas. So here I am.
Got you. That's a lot, man. A lot to endure, man. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so you had your sales company. You were selling things all over the country and things like that. And you said essentially you just made that decision to shut down that business, even though that business I know was generating a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I like that you made that decision, because I think that a lot of people, especially people that listen to this, is that people come to me all the time. Chris, I want to be in real estate. I want to do this and that. But then I ask them, what are they doing? And they're like, well, I got an MLM thing I'm pushing. I got this other thing on. And it's like, yo,
Right.
you are having yourself way too thin, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, for a lot of years, I was just like, for one, like scared of like a market correction, and for two, just like understanding that, hey, the average millionaire has 7 streams of income, et cetera, et cetera. But the more I grew into business, the more I realized that it was essentially the same. Now, I mean, it took the same amount of hustle, grind, and that true work ethic to actually get things accomplished in business. So I kind of found myself in a position where I was, stretching myself too thin, chasing 2 rabbits. And I had to make a decision, not just for me, but for my family and the people that were working for me, that I didn't want to give them 50% anymore. I wanted to give them 100%. So at the end, it didn't positively affect everybody. I had to let some people go, which kind of sucked. But on the flip side, I was able to help a lot of people win in a lot bigger ways, and it's going to continue to grow that way. So yeah, it's like it's not something that happened overnight. I know it's like with wholesaling too. It's like you see a lot of gurus out there. It's like, hey, you can be a millionaire overnight and stuff like that. It's not really how it works. So it's just the way I see it's the business, and I have business experience, and I'm just putting a different product within the system and growing it. So
gotcha. Okay. So the extensive sales background that you have, did you it just was a trial and error? Did you do some Grant Cardone studies, or how did you get so good in sales?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess it kind of started when I was little. I grew up in the country and outskirts of Toledo, Ohio, small town called Oregon, Ohio. And there's not too much opportunity up there. So me, like being one of the poor kids at school, it's like I always wanted more, So I always found a way to make profit somehow, just like buying and selling game systems on Craigslist, electronics. And then when I got in high school, I started flipping cars, so it started small, but I mean, through this time of growing in business, I realized it happened even before I started working at an actual company. I started learning people traits and stuff like that just by hustling the streets on Craigslist and stuff like that. But yeah, when I turned 18, it's like I realized I was actually good at it, and fortunate enough, I was part of a company that had some pretty good sales training. It's like we showed up to office every day, went over our pitch, and I had some solid leaders, and then I just kind of outgrew everybody and just partnered up with my boss at the time, and we started our own company, and that's kind of how it grew, and just found certain systems and sales and certain products, and realized it's like, man, sales is literally just a numbers game, and as long as we stay consistent and hit a certain amount of numbers and keep ourselves accountable, and KPIs, KPIs are everything.
Yep.
And growing it like that, so we can put everything on a graph board. It's like, hey, well, the reason why you suck today was because you talked to X amount of people. It's very similar. So,
gotcha.
But yeah, it's like, I mean, even that too, it's just like took years of kind of developing myself, reading books, going to trainings all around the country, and learning from people that are actually winning in sales helped a lot. It's not like I just woke up one day and it's like, hey, I'm good at sales. It took a lot of developing. So.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. So you were paying out all this money in the in wholesaling fees. And just for the people to know, Don is not just in Dallas. He is in, how many markets you in?
I'm in one market, Texas, and that's a pretty big market. So like even small outskirts parts of Texas, we pick up deals. So we're in all the main cities and even cities in between. So our market right now is just Texas.
Just full Texas. And yeah, Texas is huge.
Yeah.
So it's big enough.
Texas' own country.
Exactly. So. Okay. So you were paying out all these assignments to these wholesalers. You say, you know what, I need to see what I can do on my own, right? So you get into the marketing side of the business. What right now in your business? What are some of the ways that you guys are focusing on to generate leads?
Yeah, so essentially, like we hit all forms of marketing, all the way from PPC, cold call, RVMs, text blast, email marketing, mailers, bandit signs. We hit pretty heavy, social media marketing. So we're hitting all angles of marketing right now. I guess initially starting off, I started with bandit signs like years ago. I was still picking up rehabs from bandit signs just to be really efficient and being profitable. But yeah, we hit all forms of marketing.
Okay.
There's not a form of marketing that we're not experimenting at the time. No.
Okay. So I know everybody's gonna ask, what is the highest ROI on which marketing strategy? For us, it's cold calling, but
Yeah, I would say for us too, it is cold calling. Now, I essentially going back, it's like, yeah, it's like I never mind. Like I still pay assignment fees today. It's just the reason I decided to start doing a lot of my own marketing is just that growth factor. I had no control over how I was going to systemize it and grow to make more. So that's why I made a decision to just start my own marketing. But yeah, even with cold calling, people are like, well, cold calling is the cheapest way to do it. Let me just start cold calling people myself. Even with that, we're not cheap with any form of marketing that we do. We just look at ways of, yeah, we pay attention to that ROI, but the main factor that we look at is how can we grow that.
gotcha.
So that's kind of how we hit all angles. So like with cold calling right now, we have 35 cold callers. We're dumping a lot of money into data every single month, opening new markets, relooping lists, et cetera, et cetera. So even though it is the cheapest ROI or the best ROI and the cheapest form of marketing, we weren't able to scale or produce what we're doing now just by being cheap with it. Like we're not looking to save money. We're looking at how can we be more efficient of spending money.
Yeah, I like that. And you know what? I want to talk about that because I think that everybody, not everybody, I'm not going to say everybody, I don't want to classify that, but a lot of people are trying to figure out the cheapest ways to, you know what I'm saying, to bring in as much revenue, right? And it's like, you're like, no, I need to spend more. How can I continue to spend more? So how did you develop that mindset?
Well, I think it's just like going back to the growth factor. It's like I don't show up to work every day to be the same. I'm not in business going through all these trials and tribulations to stay the same. And there was times I hit plateaus in business just because I did think like that. Like I was making the same, if not a little bit more, a little bit less the following month or the following year. And I just kind of looked at it from an approach of like, how can I like scale this to like a multi-million-dollar company? Like how, yeah, you could start like having a focus of like 100,000. Then you look at, man, 100,000 is easier. Let's do 1 million. And then once you do 1 million, it's like, man, 1 million was too easy. Let's do 10 million. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then understanding that, looking at KPIs, it's like, for example, like our average cost per lead for bandit signs right now is $580, but our average deal size for wholesale is like 32 grand, versus cold call, like our average cost per lead's like, I don't know, like 70 or $80, something like that. And then like our average deal size with cold call was like 15,000.
Gotcha.
So you could evaluate it in whatever angle you want, but you can't look at it from an approach of like, how can I spend the least but make the most? You have to look at it from a form of how can I scale what I'm doing right now to be able to grow the company.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And obviously, another thing too, I'm pretty sure you're very, like I tell people, when it comes to money, it's like a game. It's like a basketball game. There's offense and defense. And so as you start scaling and bringing in more money, yes, we love to spend money, right? We like to get, enjoy the fruits of our labor. But I'm pretty sure, I know for a fact, you're super disciplined. And, but the money come in. Hey, we're not about to just go buy Lamborghinis and Ferraris and shit like that. Like, we actually got to put a lot of this back in,
Yeah. No, I hear you 100%. Like, for example, at my sales company, like we did over 2 million and I was still renting out rooms in my house, so I didn't have a mortgage. I just looked at it as how can I stay liquid as possible so I can reinvest everything back into the business. And having that scarcity mentality of like cars doesn't make me feel better about myself. Like a lot of people go buy cars, watches, houses and stuff like that because they have certain insecurities. What makes me confident is seeing people on my team win. That's what makes me feel good about myself. what makes me feel even better about myself is bringing somebody else on into the business and helping them scale to a point they've never seen before. And I just look at it from an approach of like, I live a good life. You know, I don't have to pay myself $100,000 a month for me to be happy. Like I pay myself 10 and 12 grand from the company in salary every month, and that's more than enough to pay my bills and what I like to do for fun, and help my family out and pay my parents' bills, stuff like that. So you really have to start on a small scale though, because like it's habits. You know, it's small habits. The same small habits that you have with a little amount of money is the same habits you're going to have with a lot of money. And God's not going to put you in a position in your life where you're not going to be capable to be responsible of your surroundings. So understanding that even from a young age, just because I always had like this split mentality, it's like, how can I spend money to make money on top of that? I understood that I had to have even more money to be able to profit even more money.
Got you. Okay. Yep, I like it. Because I mean that's essentially what had to happen with me too. Is that you just can't be afraid to spend, like,
right.
Especially when you know your KPIs, when you know exactly what it takes to bring in your lead cost, how much that is, how much your average size deal. It's just making some adjustments, but you have to know your numbers. A lot of people, they just don't know their numbers.
Yep, exactly.
So is there any well, go ahead. What you about to say?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, on the flip side too, it's just like marketing and systemizing your business and understanding that is just one part of business. Or even in this business, like I look at my sales team as one of the most vital parts of success in the business, just because, I mean, you can have leads in your database all day, but if you don't have enough people in a position to be able to close those deals, then you're wasting money.
Right.
So understanding that too, it's just, you have your offense and your defense. Offense is bringing the leads in. The defense is actually closing the deal. You got to have a certain amount of people in place to be able to grow that as well.
Absolutely. So speaking about that with your team, you said you got 35 people.
Well, I have about 35 cold callers, and then we outsource that to the Philippines and to Mexico. And then I have about 20 full-time employees in office between acquisitions, dispositions, transactions, marketing guy, retail agents, and stuff like that. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, we hit it pretty hard. So it's like, I guess the people that have to physically see every day in office is about 20.
Okay.
But
So
all together in whole, it's close to 60.
Gotcha. Okay. So far as your team and paying out, are you paying a lot of them on salary? There's some most of them on commission. How does that kind of structure look?
Nope, everybody's commission. So acquisitions, they make anywhere from 8 to 12%, depending on what tier they hit. If they make $100,000 a month, they make 10%. They make $50,000 a month gross, they make 10%. They make $100,000 a month, they make 12%. Dispositions, if they make $100,000 for the month for the company, they make 4%. Anything below that's 3%. If they sell over $150,000 for the month, it's 5%. Transactions, they make $150 per closed deal, and even then they make all commission.
Gotcha. Wow. That's amazing. So they really do depend on you to really just drive home the leads and make sure that everybody is making money.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like, I mean, but then you look at it too, it's like, oh, that's why you spend a lot on marketing. It's like, well, yeah, it's like, if we aren't getting a certain amount of leads every day, then it's my responsibility to make sure that happens. And if it doesn't happen, then people are like looking at me like, hey, that's my paycheck.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But on the flip side, it's just like, I'm not keeping people in the office that are just waiting around for a paycheck. Like, you actually have to close the deal, and that's your responsibility. You know, it's like, I can do my part all day, but if you're not going to be able to close it, then like, you're going to be able to, like, you're costing the company money. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
The leads aren't free.
Right. Exactly. So when you bring, let's say for instance, you bring a new acquisitions person in, what is kind of like your process? Do you give them like a month or 2 months trial and error to figure things out and get them trained and ready, or like, what does that look like?
It kind of depends on the sales experience for the most part. But I would say majority of the people that start before acquisitions, you start as a lead manager. Essentially, you're just following up with leads that are in the database already, and then you get good at like practice, and then you start following up with people, turning cold leads into warm leads. Then acquisitions is kind of by your side, helping you close that. And then eventually you're going to get good enough to be able to start closing deals by yourself. And then you're able to see the lead for the first time as acquisitions. So that's kind of how the process works. Now, yeah, it's like initially it's like it was physically me in the passenger seat and having somebody in the driver's seat just to kind of teach them how to drive a little bit.
Yep.
But now we scaled it to a point where we have leadership in the company that's able to sit hand in hand with people that are starting and make sure that I have effective training.
Gotcha. Okay. Perfect. All right. So right now, what would you say your biggest goals for 2019?
So 2019, and we're dead set focused on 10 million for the year. So it's our aim is about $1 million a month. Now, I mean, this past January we were just shy of a little 500, so we're behind a little bit. So we really got to focus on that $1 million a month. But I mean, what comes with that is, we got to spend more on marketing, got to bring on some more acquisitions, got to get the system a little bit better. I have to have a little bit more free time to focus on the business a little bit. But yeah, if we don't get 10 million, then I'm just going to quit.
That's good. Even though I know that's not going to happen, but that's good. Cool. So, your goal is to hit 10 million. You obviously been crushing it out here, going hard in the paint, as I say, in the business. And one thing I would say for people, that you're not connected with Don is that one thing about him too is that even though he's doing good in his business, he's never afraid to also elevate and invest in himself to get around other people that are making, as just as much or if not more. And guys, you got to understand, like, the biggest thing of elevating yourself, period, is you got to hang around A players. Some of you guys might be making some money and doing good, and if all your homeboys, all your homegirls is making way under you, and that's the only people you're hanging around with, you're never going to level up.
Yeah, you got to look at it like your income is literally the average of the 5 people you spend the most time around. So, for example, even my own mother, she understands this because I have to have serious conversations with her because I'm like, hey, Mom, I got to grow. But I mean, you want to spend time with your family, but you gotta surround yourself with key players that are doing better than you, because it's going to motivate you, for one, to compete with them. For two, it's inspiration. It's like, man, if this guy can do it, so can I. So you got to surround yourself around those people at all times, and being able to be in conversation with them when you are struggling with somebody or struggling with something. They're able to help you because they've probably been through that. And they can answer some of those questions or key you in on, hey, don't do that, do this, because this actually works. It helps very significantly. But if you're just hanging around people that are broke all the time and you're kind of content with your surroundings and you're comfortable, then it's going to be really tough for you to scale and grow.
Absolutely. All right, Don. So before I let you go, man, I ask everybody this question because most of my people in the audience, they are new. What advice would you give them? Well, you know what? Before I ask you that, I got to ask you this. What are your go-to CRM systems that you must have to run your business?
CRM is important. We use Podio here at the office. Systems, I mean, I would get with, CRM is Podio.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Okay. Yeah, we don't want to give away too much, but Podio, guys.
Well, no, I mean, you can get lists on ListSource.
Yeah, there's
listsource.com. I mean, that's pretty. I mean, you can go to any guru's Instagram page and buy a list from somebody. It's not difficult, but don't be scared to actually spend money. But have the confidence that you're going to be able to deliver on the leads that are going to come in. It's an important part.
Absolutely. Okay. So essentially, like I said, I got a lot of newbies on here. They're like, yo, I'm just trying to get my first deal done. So what advice would you give them to get that first deal closed?
I would say first deal, focus on actually getting your phone ringing, or even calling people. Like, start cold calling. It's cheap to do if you're doing it yourself. You have to be good at something before you can train somebody else to do it efficiently. The reason I say that is because and all angles of marketing, for example, that we do, I was physically doing myself before I was good at it, and then I just delegated that to somebody else. So don't jump the gun too early. Just start hiring people without you physically doing it or being good at it, because you're not going to have confidence that it actually works without you physically doing it first. So yeah, get a buyer list, start cold caller list, get a deal like that, and then once you get that deal, then delegate it to some VAs, and then work warmer leads.
Yep. Okay. Perfect. All right. So anybody that wants to be connected with you, Don, on social media, how can they find you?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook. My Instagram is the Donovan Ruffin, DONOVANRUFFIN. I'm private. I'm like opposite of all the people that want to be famous and gurus. It's like I block people. I'm like, why does this person follow me blocked? I just don't find confidence. I just think it's just too much responsibility to keep up with when I have my own business to focus on. So it's just the way I think. But yeah, you can reach out to me. I'm always willing to help. Answer some questions if people need it, stuff like that.
Got you. All right, so I appreciate you, Don, man, being on here, man. And when I come to Texas, man, I'm gonna holler at you.
Yeah, just hit me up, bro. I'm here.
Thanks for listening to Escaping the REI Newbie Zone podcast at www.escapethenewbiezone.com.